Claude tells me that as a reader, Claude finds like one of the POVs more, more interesting. That Claude found themselves more invested in that plotline. And this is actually the same thing that my beta reader said. I wanted to try and see if AI can help me be some kind of guide when it comes to how I'm supposed to edit my manuscript. So the manuscript I'm going to run through the AI Claude it's a manuscript that I just recently, like a few days ago, I got feedback from my beta readers and I got feedback from my real life human professional editor. And I wanted to see, like, compare how AI compares towards those two, if it's even an option to, use AI as a developmental editor to get feedback. The reason why I've chosen to use Claude is because I've got Claude recommended from other writers who uses Claude to, improve, to help with proofreading, developmental editing, and other stuff. So I know that when it comes to language models and AI, from what I've heard at least, Claude is supposed to be better than, for example, ChatGPT. I haven't tried using ChatGPT yet, but if you want me to do the same thing with another AI bot, let me know in the comments. I bought the professional account. I'm not going to do this on the free account. Bought a professional account, and before I started now this morning, I sat down and tried to do some research, like how do I do, because the thing with these language models that I've learned, I use them a lot in my professional work. I work as a marketer and we use AI tools all the time to improve and to to improve things that we do and to get ideas and to make, tasks that aren't that important, to make them a lot faster. So I'm quite used to using some AI tools, but I've never used it for something like this, for my writing, for my creative career. But I know that, like, if you want to get a good output from AI, you need to be good with the input. Like, you need to prompt it in a good way, because prompting in itself, that's an art form. That's something that you can become a lot better at. So, if you just put in your manuscript and say, give me feedback, that's not going to, you're not going to get the best response from that. So if you want to try to do this yourself, like, you have to read up a little bit on how to prompt and try to do it in a way that is good with that kind of AI model that you're using. So as I said, I'm using Claude, and I started a project first of all, because in a project you can save things instead of having to write them as a prompt all the time. So I said, you're a world-class professional developmental editor that specializes in books in the fantasy genre. What would you what would you need to help me as an author to become a best-selling author by providing professional feedback? And what would the process look like? The way I understand Claude, to work with Claude the best, is to do it like step by step in small chunks, and like the same way that you would do with a human. And when I approached the person who became my editor, I asked, like, what would the process look like? What are the steps and stuff like that? And here with AI, we have to do the same. And I got a really long response here. I'm going to read it through now. So the initial requirements, the AI needs a complete manuscript, even if it's a rough draft. The AI also needs a vision of the book and series, if that's applicable. The AI wants to know the target audience, and if there's any specific concerns, and what the publishing goals is, like if I'm going to go with a traditional publisher or if I'm going to self-publish. Okay, so the first step is that the AI will read through the manuscript without making any notes, and at the second read-through, it's going to analyze the plot structure, pacing, character development, and arcs, world building, consistency and depth, magic system, and so forth. Phase 2 would be that it will give me an editorial letter. Wow, 10 to 20 pages that addresses the overall story, the plot, tension, pacing, character development. Oh, wow. This is a lot. I getting my hopes up now. We'll see. And after that, phase 3 is the manuscript markup. Okay, and there it's going to comment in the manuscript with the pacing, characters, motivations, and clarifications that are needed. It's going to comment on the dialogue. Phase 3 would be consultation and support, answering questions about the feedback, helping me prioritize the revisions, and discuss specific solutions. And it's also available for follow-ups. Another reason why I think it's important that you start by saying like which genre you're in and stuff like that is because that the feedback will be specific to the genre that you're writing in. So here, like for fantasy specifically, I pay special attention to magic systems, consistency of rules, fantasy tropes, world building, the balance between familiar genre elements and unique innovations, the political and social systems, and so forth. And what makes this approach effective for creating a bestseller is that it addresses both the creative and commercial consideration. It perseveres the author's unique voice and strength throughout the craft. It ensures that the book meets the genre expectations. It focuses on crafting an engaging reading experience. Oh, wow. Okay, so all of this is great. But things I actually think I want to keep it. So when I ask it to make it into an artifact, this means that it's going to save whatever has like the step by step, and I can actually like if I want to change anything here, if maybe I want something different to happen in one of the steps or whatever, or maybe I disagree with the way that the AI has provided like what a bestseller is. If that's the case, I can actually edit it here in the, I can improve it in the artifact that I've created. But also this means like when I create an artifact within my projects, I also save it so that it doesn't have to remember it all the time. So this is why I'm making it into a project, because I want to keep everything within one place. As you can see on my screen on the side, I have the artifacts that I've created. So fantasy, developmental, editing process guide is what it's called, the artifact that I just created. And let me now go back to the initial requirements here. I'm going to copy them, I think. Then I'm going to reply to Claude. Here are the answers to the initial requirements for the project. Okay. So the thing is, with the complete manuscript, I wrote the manuscript in Swedish. Sorry, you guys, and I don't have it available in English right now. I don't think, because the thing is, I want to write it. I want to finish it in Swedish first before translating it to English. So I'm going to add the manuscript in Swedish to Claude. And my vision for the book. The thing is, this book is a spin-off from a series that I'm writing, and my vision for it is to be a standalone that provides like in-depth inspiration and stuff for people who like my kind of writing. And it's a bit more like different from the series. So I hope that book in itself will create interest for people to read the series. Good audience, young adults and new adults who love fantasy and mystery. Okay, so now I've answered all the questions. I'm gonna attach the manuscript. Okay, so I've answered all the questions. I'm going to attach the manuscript. Can probably do like this. I'm not sure if the manuscript is a bit too big, because it's oh no, here it says conversation is 7% over the length limit. Try to replace it with a smaller excerpt. So it's a bit too long, unfortunately. I'm going to have to make the manuscript. I guess I'm just going to call it a half then. Okay, now I'm gonna do it. It's not the entire manuscript, unfortunately, but it is what it is. I'm gonna see what Claude says. Okay, so now I got back some feedback from Claude here. Thank you for providing such clear and detailed information about your manuscript and goals. Before we begin phase 1, I have a few clarifying questions. Since the manuscript is around 100,000 words and it's in Swedish, would you prefer to have me analyze and provided portion first and then add more sections later? With Adele, you can provide the full manuscript to complete the analysis. You mentioned, it's a standalone that connects to a series 125 years later. Could you briefly tell me what key elements, world building, needs to be established in this book for the future series? Whether the reader needs to understand certain aspects of the book fully to appreciate the series later. For your book talk, YA and a target audience, what age range are you specifically targeting? What fantasy book series would you consider comparing to yours? What aspects tend to engage this audience the most? Is it romance, action, or world building? Regarding plot holes, are there any specific plot elements or character arcs that you are particularly concerned about? Having this additional context will help me provide more relevant and useful developmental feedback. Okay, so now I've answered the questions from Claude. Oh, okay, this is very interesting. So Claude tells me that as a reader, Claude finds like one of the POVs more, more interesting. That Claude found themselves more invested in that plot line. And this is actually the same thing that my beta reader said, that plot line was the one that she immersed herself in most because it had both like romance and it had mystery and a lot of other things. Okay, here is another bit of nugget that I think is important. Occasionally I found myself wanting more immediate clarification about how some aspects of the world work, particularly regarding the different dimensions and nations. I have gotten some feedback, which, to be honest, is fairly similar to the feedback I've gotten from beta readers and my real editor. So exciting. Now I'm going to see the detailed and assessment of the manuscript. I'll provide my detailed analysis. So the strengths are world building, the concept, dimensions, magic system, living books. The balance between familiar fantasy elements and innovative works well. Thank you, Claude. Character development. Okay, they like the fact that they're very different. So all in all, I do think that using Claude as a developmental editor worked fairly well, like a lot better than I actually expected. So the best parts that I think that Claude provided was the editorial letter was really, really good to just get like to see the overall strengths and where I need to improve my writing, but also like the reader, what the reader experiences when it reads the manuscript was also really, really useful. So I do think that asking AI for help like this can benefit and probably also like help speed up the editing process, especially if you don't know where to start or what your strengths and weaknesses are in the manuscript. I did run into a big hiccup, and that's the fact that my manuscript is around 100,000 words, and Claude can't take that large chunks of text. If I read correctly online, I think Claude maximum takes 75,000 words. Not sure on that one though, so I couldn't add all of my manuscript. So when I wanted like feedback on the chapters and more in-depth feedback, I had like chapter by chapter to get the strains and what I needed to improve in each chapter. But yeah, I'm really surprised, and I'm happy that I tried this. I think that this can help improve my editing process as well, to help speed things along a little bit. And this, for me, this does not in any way like take away human editors, not at all. But I do think that there are points in our careers where, because hiring a developmental editor is very costly, and sometimes you can't afford it. And then this is a good way to actually make sure that your manuscript reaches the next step and reaches its potential in a more cost-efficient way. I think that. So yeah, has been a super cool experience. And if you missed the video about me reacting to the feedback from my editor, you can find it down in the description box. I'll link it there. It's the same manuscript that I run through AI now, and I'm gonna look at all the feedback I got from my beta readers, from my editor, and from the AI editor, and start editing it and make it as good as I possibly can. It's gonna be a lot of fun, and I hope that you learned something from this video, and let me know if you're considering trying to use AI to improve any parts of your writing. I think that I think AI is here to stay, and that we as creative people need to try and find the opportunities to see where AI can help us improve our craft and our art. And that is why I wanted to try and be a little bit vulnerable and try this whilst showing you guys, as I did it live almost. But yeah, let me know what you think. Do you have any concerns about AI, or do you use AI in your writing right now? Let me know in the comments. And please follow for more content like this. Talk to you soon. Bye.